writing any books, and again, profiting personally or trying to promote any agenda other than that of the people of Massachusetts, who I will dedicate myself to work towards during those 6 years in office.
Are you officially running for the U.S. Senate?
I have the exploratory committee formed so that I can run. Obviously, we're not at a point of pulling papers yet, but this is an important step in making sure that we can raise the money we need to work against a senator who has been basically working in office to raise money for herself and for candidates, Democrat candidates around the country. That seems to be her main agenda, flying around the country or promoting herself.
If you do run, where does your support come from? Does it come from Massachusetts?
Absolutely. I mean, we've already worked on grassroots campaigns that were outspent 31-1. The gas tax ballot question in 2014, we had thousands of volunteers. We were able to outperform the governor's race by 50,000 votes, all against $3 million spent against us by special interest. It was all grassroots volunteers. Those people are ready to work again on this campaign. I've spoken to a lot of them, and I plan to do a lot of the same work then and even more to try to make sure that the message gets spread in a way that's winning for 2018.
Representative, how much money do you think that you want to raise in order to, make your candidacy official?
I'm hoping that by midsummer or mid to late summer, we're able to raise a strong six-figure number. I would say $300,000 to $500,000 would be something that'd be, a goal. I know that she obviously is my opponent, Senator Warren, is a prolific fundraiser, and again, that seems to be her main agenda, is raising money for herself, whether it's for her campaign or personally. $1.6 million in book deals since she's been in office, 2 books, and not working for the people of Massachusetts during that time. That's the kind of thing that I will not be doing. There will be no book deals for Geoff Diehl while I'm in office after 2018.
How long did it take you to get through her last book?
To be honest with you, I haven't really found a reason to read the books yet. I do a lot of work up at Beacon Hill, a lot of bills to file, a lot of bills to read, and I'll certainly look at the synopsis. But it doesn't seem to me like right now the work that she's doing on writing these books is as important as the work we need to be getting done on Beacon Hill.
Isn't the budget debate going on now?
The budget debate will be starting shortly, and I'll be heading in there to work on those amendments.
Any amendments you're looking to do? What are the weeds of your day job right now you want people to know about?
Sure. Well, I think one of the big things is returning the sales tax back to 5%. It was 5% for decades, like 5 decades. It was raised temporarily as an emergency. It's time for that emergency to end. We continue to spend, we're now in the last 10 years spending a third more in our budget than we spent in previous decades. I think it's time to take it back down to 5% and help taxpayers of the state.
What bills have you got passed through the legislature?
I've had some local bills passed to help the towns of East Bridgewater, the town of Abington, and been a co-sponsor of numerous bills that increase funding for our towns as well.
How do you win in Massachusetts, where Hillary Clinton really crushed Donald Trump?
Yeah, well, first you start with the primary, and the fact is that Donald Trump did extremely well with the primary. Those voters wanted to see a change, and I think the same voters that didn't believe in Hillary Clinton's message, 20,000 Democrats unenrolled to be able to vote for Donald Trump in the primary. I think those folks are also going to be similarly dissatisfied with Elizabeth Warren, who endorsed Hillary Clinton despite her ideological partner, Bernie Sanders, kind of leaving him out in the wind. He almost got 50% of the vote. So I think there's a lot of disaffected Democrats, but I think the real key is the independents that want to see actual work being done in Washington, D.C., and somebody who isn't just working as a pure opposition to anything and everything that the president and Republicans are trying to offer to work for the American people.
Have you got any encouragement or any words from Governor Baker in terms of your candidacy or potential candidacy?
I've spoken to the governor's campaign staff, obviously, about this, and I'll be talking to the governor more very soon.
Would you anticipate, if you're running, that you would ask President Trump to come and campaign for you?
Yeah, absolutely. It'd be an honor for him to come up here and talk about why he feels it's important to have a Republican. There are currently no Republicans in the congressional delegation. You have a Republican president, a Republican governor. I think it would be great to have at least one representative working down in D.C. in the Congress to help the people of Massachusetts.
What about Shiva Aruduraj? How do you compete against him? He's already declared. What does it look like for you going into the primary?
I don't know what primary candidates we're going to ultimately have in this race, but I'm going to put my record up against anybody who wants to run. Look, I've had a record of not only working up here on Beacon Hill and getting bipartisan bills passed or amendments passed, but I've also been able to work outside the chamber to help the people of Massachusetts, saving, I'd say, roughly $12 billion. $2 billion is what the Globe blamed me for with the gas tax repeal, even though we showed that the state spends 4 times the national average, and we should have done a better job tightening our belt rather than asking taxpayers to pay more money each year. And then the Olympics, I partnered with Evan Falchuk and his group. Right after that, we found out Boston 2024 was coming. We saw that the overruns were going to average about $10 billion as they have in previous cities. And we filed ballot question language to repeal that. About a week later, Boston 2024 left town. I'm willing to work on any issue with anybody to make sure people of Massachusetts save money and also get what they deserve from the government.
So what is your message? Is it no new taxes? What is it?
I think it's the fact that I plan on working hard for the people of Massachusetts, unlike current representation they're getting down in the Senate.
Just back to the campaign, how have things gotten so far? What's been the response? How's it been?
Yeah, so it's exciting. Obviously, when you think about running for the United States Senate, it's a pretty big task. First thing you want to do is clear it with your family and friends, and just about everybody that I've spoken to in the family is supportive. And the folks that I've been working with in the past on grassroots issues, or even fellow legislators, are excited about the possibility of me running and winning. And so that was the first step, kind of checking with them. The second thing was going out to the people. I spent a lot of time over the last 2 months going to events and letting people know what I was interested in doing and getting responses from them. Now is the key part where, fundraising, where you want to make sure that, you're in a phase where you want to make sure that you're showing that your campaign is credible by raising the amount of money that you're going to need to not only get started, but show that you're on a path towards raising the funds you're going to need for the entire race. And I think we're actually already having great success in the last 2 weeks since we opened the federal account.
Is there a model for other successful Republican campaigns statewide? Is it Charlie Baker? Is it Scott Brown? Is it Donald Trump's primary campaign?
Yeah, I mean, look, the history in Massachusetts is, Scott Brown won a race nobody expected him to win because he had a message that was right on. He was listening to the people of the state. They wanted him to be the 41st vote against the Affordable Care Act. He ended up winning that race. Charlie Baker, I think, in his second campaign, did a great job reaching out and speaking to and listening to the people of Massachusetts. And again, I think that's the kind of work that we've done with the gas tax ballot question, with the Olympics, and it's the kind of thing I plan on doing as well, as being very responsive, as I've always been, to the people of my district and to the people of the state. And I think that is what's going to carry us at the end of the day in 2018.
What did you learn from your state Senate race?
That was an interesting race where the fundamentals of the race were a little bit difficult to begin with. Look, municipal elections were being held in the city where 50% of the vote was coming from, and my opponent, his entire state rep district was in that city. So everybody was out to vote for that race. It was otherwise in the 7 other towns, which I did very well. I averaged about 70% in most of those towns. We did very well, but unfortunately the turnout was much lighter because it wasn't a regular election cycle as it was in the city of Brockton. So one of the things there was just the fact that it was an uphill race to begin with, but I didn't get, there was a lot of good lessons to learn from that race. I was able to get my name recognition out there a lot more. It really gave me a good idea of how to fundraise. I think I outraised my opponent 2-1 in that race. And so I learned a lot of good lessons despite the outcome.
The millionaire's tax is going to be on the ballot in 2018. Do you expect that to affect the Senate race?
Yeah, actually, I think it should affect the race in a pretty good way. The millionaire's tax is basically just another name for the graduated income tax, which has been tried 5 different times in the state and has been defeated. The fact is it shouldn't even make the ballot because there's already allocations within the ballot question saying that the money's going to go towards education and transportation. No ballot question is supposed to be allowed to allocate towards any one area of state funding. So I would say that it should be ruled out, but if it's not ruled out and it goes to the ballot, you're going to get a lot of conservative voters that know that it's not just millionaires that are going to be affected, because as we learned in New Jersey, when they passed the millionaire's tax, a lot of money ends up leaving the state. Folks with a lot of money know how to offshore their money or move out of the state. They're very mobile. And what's going to happen is, as in California or New York State, once those tax brackets are broken, they're going to start to move that tax rate down into the lower and middle income families. And that's where a lot of the cost is going to be going, not necessarily millionaires.
One more question. This would be like a national race. Up against are you ready for the national stage?
Sure. Look, I mean, I've been in on national media during the Trump campaign. I was the only Republican in Massachusetts who endorsed Donald Trump. Certainly was ready, willing, and able to handle the spotlight of the national attention then, as well as going on just about any radio and TV station that asked me to it during that last year or so in Massachusetts, regardless of which way they lean. And I'll be happy to do the same thing now. I think that being honest and open about what your intentions are and how you plan to run a campaign is the key to winning.
Main takeaway from today's press conference where you want to talk about?
I think people just need to know that you need to see You need a United States senator that's going to be working for them, not working to write books, to raise a profile, to raise a bank account for themselves, and to basically make sure that people know that she's running for president in 2020 instead of continuing to work for the people here in Massachusetts. I mean, I think on one of these talk shows, she wouldn't even commit to the fact that she would not run for president in 2020. So that might tell you some of what you need to know right now.